Okay, if we start from left side, Professor Erik Dahlqvist. He is a professor in energy technology at Mälardalen University in Västerås, Sweden. And his focus is on biomass utilization and process efficiency improvements. And he has a vast industrial background of technology development, for example, in control and optimization of industrial processes, especially from ASEA and ABB. And among other his appointments, he is a member of editorial board of Applied Energy Journal, member of Swedish Royal Academy of Engineering, and member of the board of Scandinavian Simulation and Modeling Society. Just a short introduction. And then, if we follow the order of the persons, of the panelists, Osmo Hänninen is the chairman of this session, so I will come to you a bit later. And then Professor Chi-King Lin is a professor in the Department of Biological Sciences and the director of the Environmental Sciences program at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville in Illinois, USA. And his research is related to the biogeochemistry of environmentally important trace elements, with a special focus on biological accumulation, transformation, and volatilization processes in the air, water, soil, plant system. And Dr. Lin is a co-founder of International Society for Selenium Research, and he presently serves as Vice President of International Society of Environmental Indicators. And then Assistant Professor Emilia Den Boer. She is coming from Institute of Environment Protection Engineering, Wrocław University of Technology in Poland. And she specializes herself in municipal waste management, having key interests and qualifications for bio-waste treatment technology, planning and assessment of waste management systems and waste technology, life cycle assessment, environmental impact assessment, waste analysis, and environmental law and policy. And Emilia Den Boer is a member of EU Bioeconomy Panel, in which she is representing waste issues. Then Reiljo Saareperä. He is the chairman of ERCAS. It is Estonian Regional and Local Development Agency, a national level executive agency for local governments to support innovation and secure funding for initiatives at local and regional level. Coming initially from academic background and a theologian and relations manager by education, he has worked as a vice rector of Tartu Academy of Theology, an executive of a biodiesel company, and consultant for many international organizations. And Elias Sakalehto, a microbiologist and biotechnologist, Finnflag Oy, and adjunct professor in biotechnical microbe analytics, University of Eastern Finland, Kuopio. He graduated from the University of Helsinki, where we are having here this event, and he graduated as microbiologist, and he established as the first chairman of the student union of the Helsinki University. He established the environmental section back 80s, I guess. And he studied biotechnology in UK in 80s and was a visiting scientist at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Israel, in late 80s. And Dr. Hakalehto did his PhD thesis in 2000 for the University of Kuopio. He has acted as project leader in several diagnostics and industrial microbiology projects. And he and his company Finnflag Oy has been launching and promoting new concepts in microbiological research and development, for example, the PMEU, Portable Microbe Enrichment Unit. Finnflag Oy has carried out many consultations in the fields of microbiology and biotechnology with more than 100 specified investigation tasks. In microbiology, his aim is to understand the events taking place in real time during the different processes. And Peter Lund, he's a visiting professor at Hubei University in China, and he is professor in advanced energy systems at Aalto University, Finland, Espoo, since '98. And just to mention just a couple of his many appointments, he was for 10 years research director and coordinator of National New Energy Technology Research and Development for Tekes, the Finnish technology financier. He is the chair of European Academy's Science Advisory Council's Energy Panel. His research interests include energy systems and innovations, science, technology, business and policy issues related to large-scale schemes of new and renewable energy, solar cells and fuel cells, distributed energy generation systems, commercialization and innovation strategies. So, warmly welcome to all panelists. And finally, I introduce the chairman of this panel discussion, Emeritus Professor Osmo Hänninen. And he has been a rector of University of Kuopio, 81 to 84, and vice rector of University of Kuopio, 73 to 78. He has been the first permanently nominated professor in University of Kuopio and the leader of physiology department from 72 to 2004. He has acted as an adjunct professor in physiology at Turku University for over 30 years and at Joensuu University over 20 years. All the panelists, they are having a long list of publications, and Emeritus Professor Osmo Hänninen, he has published over 400 scientific publications about physiology, toxicology, biochemistry, environmental sciences, and pharmacology. He was awarded with Study Book Writer Award in 2009 in Finland. The most famous book from him is Ihmisen fysiologia ja anatomia, The Physiology and Anatomy of Human. This book is the oldest continuously used medical sciences book in Finland. So we can see that we are having lots of experience indeed, and now we will start the panel discussion, please.
Thank you. And now you know that we know everything in the world, I believe. The list was so long. And anyway, but I want to say here in the beginning that this is a historical event in our university. I have never seen this many people from so many countries and also from the so-called applied sciences and also the academic people in this connection. And we are then also trying to solve the problems. What are so most urgent things in human economy in whole globe, but also the economy of Finland. So I would like to, of course, first to congratulate the organizers that you have been able to collect so many people here, but I still doubt that we don't have time enough to solve all the problems. And because ladies are the first. In Finnish, to say. Yeah, how you summarize?
How I summarize today's event?
Yeah, how you feel in your heart?
Yeah, I think it is like we are now, I think in every country, at starting a discussion how we should change our industry. Yeah, I think it was a very interesting input in the last lecture that we have reached the verges of what the earth can bury, and now we have to devise new methods how we can, in a sustainable way, go further and develop our economy and do it in accordance with the environment. So I think it is also very interesting and important that we are from different disciplines and working together. So I think this very multidisciplinary approach is very much needed to solve some problems. Not to that some environmentalists just work together, but to bring everybody, politicians also, and like to look at from economic perspective. And so this is, I think, very important for today's event.
Okay, maybe we ask Dahlqvist to take the next step.
Okay, yes. Now, I've been working with energy issues for quite a few years, and when I started this book with Rachel Carson in 1962, I saw that and I read it quite early. I got very enthusiastic about environmental things, and then I've been started working for ASEA, which is an ABB in 1975, coming to Västerås, and it was nuclear power I was working with. And ABB, you know, is quite a big company, and it was much bigger when earlier when doing power plants and all those type of things. And when it comes to renewables, I can tell you that around 1980 it was not very popular. You would not even mention like renewable energy almost. At that time we had no energy taxes, so everyone was only looking at production cost. The production cost was straight on, and I should make an exhibition when ASEA was celebrating 100 years in Stockholm. And then I took the production cost of all the different type of issues. And the funny thing was that I was not allowed to bring in solar power because it was so stupid to even mention that it would never be anything. Wind power I could get in, although it was very stupid also. But ASEA had some 30% of the shares of what is now Vestas. But the situation, and then we see here what is happening right now. We are getting a lot of solar power, a lot of wind power, a lot of biomass and so on. And if you look from the historic perspective, if you put the sight far ahead, you can see that it's no doubt that we will have only renewables. You can forget about all the fossil fuels. You can forget about all the nuclear and those type of things probably, because they will not sustain. So I think the perspective, from my perspective, is that it's just to work towards the goal, and you will have something like this, and you don't know when you will reach it, but you will go there, no doubt.
Thank you. What about you?
What should I say? Well, I like the idea. I congratulate Alice. You have a wonderful group, scientists working with engineers together. I see the accomplishments that you have achieved so far. That's great. I was impressed. I'm impressed with what you have, and if I can say something that I feel probably we should have more, that is a graduate student or undergrad students in this. Probably we should have more of them to join us. That's something. Education, you know, as a teacher, I think education, sustainability. That's always the important topic. Not just curriculum. Part of a curriculum should include sustainability studies, but also involving students in research. I think that's quite important.
Thank you. By the way, in these days, we are getting about 1,000 pages thick book written by about 80 authors all around the world, environmental monitoring. So whatever you are going to do during the Christmas time, maybe you will work on that book. And now I ask what our Estonian friend is going to say.
Thank you. Also, I want to thank Ari and all the nice people of Helsinki and Kuopio arranging this wonderful event here today. And I was really pleased to speak also with a representative of Finnish media who was actually leaving the event, and he asked me, like, he looked at me and asked, "Do you really think there is something?" Because I feel that there is something in here. And I think if somebody from the media who is outside actually of academia, who is outside of engineering, who's not maybe so much into environmental things, if he understands that there is something here, then I felt that there is hope for this, what we try to achieve. Because the thing is that, coming myself from the academia, I can say that I've felt so many times there's a huge gap between fundamental research and applied research. But do you know that there is even bigger gap between applied research and the actual everyday market? And if somebody from the common man from the everyday market understands what we speak about, and they see that it is in Finnish to say kohtuullista, or as I would say, it's meaningful, it's profitable, then it means that it actually has a place in the mindset and understanding of a common people. And this also means that they are the ones who put the stress on the stakeholders that allow us to take this thing further. So therefore I think that today was a huge success, because we have many different fields. We have a multi-field border research group here. So we try to breach the borders between the different sciences, but also we try to fill in the gap between the fundamental research, applied science, and everyday people's worldview. So I think it's a great opportunity here. Thank you.
Thank you. You may know, or you may not know, that in Finland we have in schools a very special study subject, and that is health knowledge. And I have a feeling, because it is among the students the most popular subject at schools, and it is in student examination that is mostly cited. It is really wonderful thing. Now I would like to ask if Elias can tell if this is unique in the world.
Thank you. A very hard question, but at least it's unique in my world. So I was thinking and speaking with Lauri Heitto and Anneli Heitto. We were students in the same lecture room some 35 years ago, starting our studies. And the things we are talking today, they were the dreams of that time of the students. We were thinking that maybe one time there will be a world built up where the sustainability will be really functioning. And the Student Union of Helsinki University was establishing a sorting experiment of household waste at the student dormitory here. And there was a huge opposition among the governmental bodies, among even the public. But now, a couple of years ago, I heard from the radio when I was driving a car that 95% of the Finns think that sorting the waste is actually a wise thing to do. So I felt that this world is changing, even though slowly, but it will change. And during the ABOWE project, we have seen that there have been 50 to 100 at least of young people or young-minded people who have been thinking about this option. We have these things in our hands. And so I think this is something quite unique. We can hope that this kind of atmosphere could be spread out, as Relio said, from this lecture room. It could be spread out to the media and to the general public, and that will generate a demand of more action. Thank you.
Thank you. Helsinki University, where Elias was studying some time ago, it is, and he was initiating there some student activity there, and that in a way, this what we are sitting here and discussing is in a way part of that discussion what those days students put on their paper and made this to work. Now I wonder what is the situation in Helsinki University nowadays.
I think universities in general, they are a source of creative thinking, and I'm very optimistic in the future, for the future when I look on the coming generation. The students are much better than we were. So in that sense, I'm optimistic. Thinking about the sustainable future, definitely the numbers doesn't look good in the sense that we are heading toward the 6th extinction wave. Half of all species will disappear by 2060 if we don't do anything. But I think the solution definitely, that's in innovation. So the innovation that Elias and his team is working, that's extremely important. And young people like to work with challenges. So I think this is something to turn the direction of the development is something that we need young people to work on with fresh mind. Very often we think about future as a very linear development, but that's not that. Future is non-linear. Eric mentioned the photovoltaics. Nobody would have thought about 5 years ago. Even the branch itself never thought that photovoltaics would be so cheap as it is now. Nobody believed in that. So I think these kind of surprises are there once we have good people to work. And so I'm very optimistic. And I'm even more optimistic in the sense that it's now when science steps into the society. So energy has been very simple. I mean, you just cook water. Nuclear power is just cooking water with atoms, okay? But science is coming now. This is biology, DNA, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, functional materials. That's stepping now through the young people into energy and society. So I think we are just stepping to an era where there will be big changes. So I'm optimistic in that sense that innovations will solve the problem eventually. And the bioreactors and these kind of innovations that we see are a very important part of that kind of progress.
Thanks, very optimistic point of view. Now I wonder what about the audience is thinking of us. What our greatest authority in administration is going to say. Silent. Yeah.
Good question. Yeah. Well, I tried to make it very clear earlier in my opening speech that I'm not an expert in this field at all. I usually say that we who deal with these programs, we are not expert in anything else but maybe trying to get things done in a way and trying to somehow, I don't know how the process goes, but to find the projects that in a way are worthy of support. And I think in this particular case, I'm very, very, in a way, convinced that we, when we, in a way, decided to fund this project, that we were on the right track. I think this is also a little bit of a model what kind of projects we should fund in the future. To be a little bit self-critical, a lot of the projects we fund through these programs don't really end up in very much. And to try to be more precise also when we communicate in a way to potential applicants what we are looking for, what we are asking for. So if we do that, I think we, even if I'm not as optimistic as Professor Lund about that there's a lot of good ideas around in a way. I don't always find them, but maybe if the problem is that we have not been able to, in a way, attract those people who in a way have these ideas. So I think it's up to us to try to also in a way say, here is somebody who will help you, and well, that's what I can promise to do. I won't promise any more for the Finnish administration as a whole, and not even for my Baltic Sea colleagues. But only from my own part, I'm trying to do the best I can to help projects that, in a way, have concrete results and in a way are looking to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience would like to take the floor? Okay. Yeah.
Kim Yrjö from the University of Helsinki. I have two comments. First, when the question was stated, what is going on at the university level? So I can tell that University of Helsinki has just founded the Helsinki Think Company. And that's, there are two places. One is here in Viikki and one is downtown, and it's a meeting place for students and researchers who are somehow interested in entrepreneurship, or let's say to apply research into business. But also it's a meeting place for people from different faculties and departments to just come and discuss common things, or to develop the teaching at the university. But the point is that it's open for everybody, people from any field at the University of Helsinki, and also in the future now. So we are trying to. We have founded a Helsinki Think Company society, and I'm in the board of the society, and we really welcome people from companies, like here are people to come and discuss their problems to the Think Company, because we have the occasions that we invite people that state some problems, or researchers, and then we invite some company people who might have some solutions to these problems. And the whole idea is that people from different fields, or let's say from university and companies, would meet and start the discussion how to maybe solve problems. And more important, that this university is full of young students who are really interested in these sustainability things or bioenergy things or like that, and they are really eager to also work in this field. So this way I would say that there is some kind of new culture building up here at Helsinki University. Aalto University has already this entrepreneurship since some time, but now we have developed it also here at the University of Helsinki.
Thank you. And then, yeah, please.
Okay, so as a lecturer, also I would like to also emphasize the importance of education for young people as well, because as what Emilia has actually said, one thing really important is the multidiscipline approach to these issues. Because I think at least in our university as well, the curriculums have been made based on the previous success, what we have done for the industries in Finland especially. And I think we need to restructure the curriculums more or less, look at those a bit more closely and see what are the important issues that need to be focused. We need to understand the microbiological side, we need to understand the mechanical engineering, the automation engineering, also the economics of the things, and so on. So it's a really, really broad competencies that you need in order to get these things accomplished. So I think Professor Lund has very good ideas and good perspective on these kinds of things. But I think we need to teach this to the youth as well, and perhaps think about the curriculums in our universities.
Thanks. When I was coming here, I was most part of the time reading science. And science was established by Thomas Alva Edison. And he started his career by selling newspapers in the train. And he has about 1,000 patents in different sectors. So one of the journals what is most famous and most successful was started by a person who did not study at the university at all. So maybe we first here think a little bit, what is the great treasure of those non-academics in the society? Who wants to discuss this matter with us?
May I perhaps a comment?
Okay.
I think there were very interesting viewpoints on the education, and I think it's one of the tasks of education is really to give tools to people to grab them with interesting problems. And I think this is very important. We speak about tools that a young person gets. With those tools, she or he can then encounter different issues and do something useful. I think in the Finnish system, education system, maybe the European as well, we have valued very much the kind of, let's say, solid science. And that's a continuum from the old traditional medieval universities. I cooperate very much with US universities, and maybe our US colleague can comment on that, but thank you for MIT, which is a quite good university. There's 3 things that each student needs to learn about. Well, it's the science and technology. That's what an engineer would need to do. But then you have to also some entrepreneurship, business. That's the economy side. And that's something that we most likely in Aalto University do. But then comes the third one, which is something that we miss, is the humanities. That's the interface between technology and people. Humanities, sociological sciences, socioeconomics. You need to understand that as well. So this is kind of 3 pillars, 3 tools that you get. And I think that also explains why maybe American students have encouraged to take more risks. We are slightly risk averse here in Europe. And it's really USA that no risk, no reward, high risk, high reward. And that should go also back to our university maybe in terms of education. We need to give new tools for our students so that they can grapple with the challenges in the society.
Elias, please.
Thank you. So I want to comment on what Professor Lund just said, that maybe in Finland, instead of restriction or cutting off the spin-offs and to focusing on the essential business, we should instead have promotion. So instead of restriction, we should have promotion and to find the new leads with a wider perspective. And I think this is true also in most of the Europe as well. In order to get the economic growth, we shouldn't just cut off things, but we should make them integrate and to promote growth wherever it's seen. It was a fashionable saying some 10 years ago, katkotaan rönsyjä. All Finns know what that means business-wise, but it was the wisdom of that time and the wisdom of funding institutions, banks, but it's not the wisdom of going when we want to explore and go into new directions.
Okay, thank you. Yes, no, I'm coming from industry, so I've been working 27 years at the industry, and I was working for 10 years before I started taking my higher education when it comes to this with the PhD and things like that. And what I can say is that you can work without having those more advanced tools and so on, but use a lot of those thumb tools. Then I started taking my PhD, and then you went into learning about simulation and more advanced things. What we've done is we're taking the levels of what you're doing to a bit higher level. And of course you can work without having those tools, but when you have them, I think they are driving things towards getting more and more advanced. And I'm coming very much from pulp and paper. And if you go back to the 60th or 70th, you could run pulp and paper or paper machines, for instance. And then you had perhaps 2 or 4 meters wide, and there were 200 meters per minute, and you had 1,000 people operating the whole thing. And today you have up to 11 meters wide. They're running 2,000 meters per minute, and you have like 300 people are operating this. What is the difference? Of course, you could run this paper machine, but what you have included is a lot of advanced functionalities, sensors that more advanced people have developed. You have automation, the whole infrastructure, IT, and so on. So what we're doing with the education is to take ourselves to a higher level. We can still live without it, but it's very good if we want to make advancements and competition to compete in the future.
And this brings to my mind also Steve Jobs. If I remember right, he did not pass any examination.
No, I think so too.
And now we can discuss for a moment, is this formal education making us some kind of, put us in some kind of jail? That because one of my students, she was a nurse, and we started to ponder why certain people nothing happens, and that was in her case the situation. She never got doctorate, and I was wondering if I was the reason that she didn't move ahead. So we teachers are probably, at least sometimes, the problem. I wonder who wants to discuss this problem. Okay.
Please go ahead.
Actually, coming from education, I can say that if everybody would strive for the doctorate and academia, probably we would, in academia, we would survive maybe a month or two. But then we would suddenly realize, coming out from the university or lab, that something's wrong with the shop. The car maybe not running like it should. The house starts to get a bit chillier. So I think everybody has its own place in the world. And in a matter of state, the other people, they bring so-called common sense to the table. And in some ways, I think it has a balancing effect to the academia. So for the things to happen and for innovation to happen, it needs both things. So one good thing I think with the students is that when they come to they get their doctorate, they get the degree, then at least in the beginning they are so-called unspoiled, so that they are a bit ready to think out of the box. And I think this is a value that we should encourage.
Okay, please.
I think it's what we're speaking here is actually about creativity, and let's say our school system, our universities are excellent in killing creativity. Why so? Because it's about conformity. So our education system is very normative, very conformative. So if you're not in the kind of a fitting into the segment, you get kind of very bad feedback. I think that somebody in the US has measured that of people who are under 5 years old, children, about half of those are still geniuses. When we take 35%, 0.1% is a genius. So it means that the conformity, that you force people to a certain format, that kills creativity. And I think in that sense, we should have more freedom. Once being in Stanford, I remember the motto of Stanford is in German, Die Luft der Freiheit weht, which means that the wind of freedom blows. And this is the point. You need to give people freedom. And so we should be more tutors to nourish people, but not punish. And I think our system punishes. We punish always in exams. You get a 0. Okay, so let's try to nourish people and nourish creativity. I think that's the point. The more we can nourish the creativity which is around, I think the more we have people like Bill Gates, Zuckerman, Jobs, all those dropouts, but creating wonderful things. Anyway, it's good to have education. Young people, go for education. That's the best way to earn something. So anyway, all right.
What about the audience? Anybody wants to? Aha, okay, yeah.
Actually, two last questions are a little bit combined together, because how I see about creativity and creativity outside of academic world, there might be great inventions, not just might, there are lots of great inventions which will never come true, because how non-academic person gets his or her idea into becoming true. I have a friend, he has good idea. Even professor has looked at it and says, very great idea. But where comes the financing for this idea? No university will look at it because he's not in technical, he's not studying technical matters, he's not he hasn't contacts that point in technical society, and no industrial company will support this idea. Yes, that was my idea.
Okay.
Well, I have a solution. I can give my name to your friend. What we have done in the University of Applied Sciences, we take these kinds of inventors to us, and we, as lecturers and teachers, we take the ideas and take them to the students. Then the students would start working on those. Of course, the IPRs remain, and the patents and everything remain on the inventor itself. Actually, Elias is a living example. Of course, he's coming from an academia world, but anyway, he has an invention, and us, as a University of Applied Sciences, we have realized this invention. So this is part of the solution, that our universities and applied science universities should make the students start working on these ideas who don't have the resources and so on.
Yeah, we are now in a place where there is a radio and TV museum in the neighborhood in Lahti. And if I remember right, one of those innovators was Tigerstedt. I don't remember his name. But anyway, he was going his own way. And what I'm wondering, how much we teachers are not encouraging people to make their own way. Because I believe that I was the reason why this lady never got a doctorate.
Actually, one thing I would like to comment on that first proposal is that actually one thing that sets apart inventor from the academia or applied science university and from a regular people, we know how to document what we invent. And the only key thing is that it doesn't matter how good is the invention, but if you can't manage to document it, then it's rarely applicable, because if you can't document it, or you can't get somebody else to document it, then it has very little worth. Thank you.
Let me comment on my colleague mentioned U.S. education. I think education is it's not just an advancement of technology, science and technology, but also the environmental awareness. I think that's not necessary at the college level, but at children, so primary school, elementary school, start from them. For university or school, we should have them, everyone, to create a sustainable campus. That's what we are doing right now. We have a sustainability coordinator on campus. We do all that, what we call green campus or whatever we can do. This is at the university level. Federal government, they also have a specific program If you look at US EPA website, they have a P3 program and just focus on system sustainability design and technology development. That's also related to small business, new startup. So I think in the future, probably at the different levels, you can look for those kind of support, including financial support.
Yes, we have at our university, Mälardalen University, had for, I think it's 15 years now, the Idea Lab. And the new boss for the Idea Lab is Patrik Linteberg, over there, who took over just a few months ago here. But what we have there is been given support to students. So I don't remember exactly, around 350 companies, I think, have been formed by our students during this time period. And I don't remember exactly now, but I know that after the first 5 years, 5-6 years, we were measuring how many of those were surviving. And it was in the range of 85%, also after they were leaving the university. So that was an idea to try to get them to start. And we have the last 7-8 years, we have also promoted very much researchers, if they want to do it, like PC students and researchers, to, if not start their own companies, at least try to commercialize business ideas. And then we have this Idea Lab is then supporting with these legal issues around IP and things like that. So, and it's been quite successful. Then I can see it from a very different perspective. When I was working for ABB, we were getting a lot of inventors coming to us. And some of those inventors had very vague ideas. And then they wanted to pay us like $1 million just get us maybe $1 million, I would do something very great for this, or 10 million or something like that. And we said that it doesn't work like that. You have to convince us that this is something good. And the best thing is if you can come with a patent. Because if it's a patent, we have something to discuss. Otherwise, you will only come and tell us that you stole my idea. You stole my idea. And of course, a big company has we know a lot of things. So if someone is coming with something new from a different area, the most probable thing is that this was invented 100 years ago, if we are honest. We have met that many, many times. And also at the university, we're getting quite a lot of people coming in, and sometimes it's good ideas, and we're promoting and we're helping. And just 2 weeks ago, one of those who I've been in contact with for only 1 year now, Bombardier, has decided to go for that idea and commercialize it. So now and then it happens, and something is coming through. And so I was making courses at ABB Corporate Research for our new employees. Most of them were PhDs. They had just got a new PhD and then started working for ABB then. And they were convinced that they had the best idea in the world. And then they went to the business areas and tried to convince them to give them money and support and so on. And they said, oh, like that. And what I always said, that you have to learn that it's not only to have a good idea. You have to be persistent, and the idea can probably be much better if you get some resistance. And if these guys are coming up with a lot of hesitance and they argue against your idea, you have to convince them. You have to learn more to develop this. That is how you have to work. And then you're perhaps more of an entrepreneur. And this is slightly different. But that's how we work, the world is working. And that is what Elias is, a typical entrepreneur, I would say. He's persisting.
Yeah, by the way, if I remember right, somebody in Finland has had dissertation within 1 year. I don't know if this is true, but I believe it was in the University of Helsinki in somewhere. I don't remember the topic. But then the shortest dissertation, what I know, is 1 page. I believe that it did not take many years to write this 1 page. But this only tells the reason that we should somehow give the freedom, we should encourage and provide the possibilities, but there are many ways like this Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, and many others.
What I wanted to add still, I think it is also very important to make the science publicly available, not to the students, of course, but also outside, like to children, organize some open days and show them, because they are the general public is our customers. So they have to also their approach, their way of thinking has to change, so that they are easier to absorb the innovations that are made by the scientists and by the academia. So I think it's very important also to work with people from outside university.
And I have a feeling that we should sooner or later finish. But these topics,
we are able to go to see the innovation of today,
yes.
Today's topic. But please conclude what you are having on mind.
I think that all these different possibilities which have been mentioned here, they are to be available. And what is difficult in some countries, it's difficult. There's no possibility to move ahead in academic career. That's so sad. But anyway, this discussion, what we have started here, it will not end here. We continue wherever we work. And hopefully we understand the possibilities, we understand the freedom, we understand the geniuses who can do something what we not even can think about. So I wonder if somebody else would like to say still a few words, or are we about ready to leave to see the one innovation? It seems that most of the people have the same opinion that we should move to see what some genius people have been able to achieve. And hopefully this innovation is spreading in the world and will grow to new, whatever, even today we're thinking what could be possible in the future. So I would like to thank all the people here in front of this table, and all you there. I hope that you enjoy visiting the demonstrations. Thank you.
Okay, many thanks for all the panelists and our chairman, Osmo Hänninen. And indeed, now we close this seminar. Thank you very much. And we shall move to the pilot plant. There is a bus waiting outside with the ABOWE sign. It takes 47 at one time, and then it comes back when it has brought one group to the pilot plant. It is non-stop bus. And there in Gardenia, I just briefly would like to inform that you are most welcome to also to have coffee there, and also to see the tropical garden, underclass tropical garden, which is very special, and in some part is very warm as well there. And there's some nice exhibition also inside. Outside Gardenia there would be a Japanese garden, but it might be a bit dark now there. But anyway, so warmly welcome to see the pilot day. In fact, the first visitor this morning that just hopped in from the street was a man with his son. So it is taking place what we have been wishing here. Thank you very much. Okay.